Newsfirst at 9.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to your Primetime Weekend News Bulletin with me, Shane Silva.
And I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
The headlines on Newsfirst at 9.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa pays his final respects to the late most venerable Dayagama Sri Gnana Ratnathera. Suspicions among farmers in Polonaru over the opening of spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra. Hirunika Premachandra launches her election campaign. Skeletal remains believed to have been used in a sacrificial ritual discovered in Aralaganvilla. Death of Indian Minister Sashi Tharoor's wife was forced and unnatural.
Newsfirst at 9.
And now for the stories in detail.
Large crowds flocked today as well to pay their final respects to the late Agamaha Pandita, the most venerable Veligama Sri Gnana Ratnathera, the chief prelate of the Amarapura Sri Dharma Rakshita Mahanikaya.
The chief prelate's mortal remains were brought to the Mallikarama Vihara in Ratmalana last evening.
The chief prelate of the Amarapura Sri Dharma Rakshita Mahanikaya, Agamaha Pandita, the most venerable Veligama Sri Gnana Ratnathera, passed on while receiving treatment at the Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital at dawn yesterday. A large crowd gathered at the Mallikarama Vihara in Ratmalana today to pay their final respects to the Thera. President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Vihara to pay his final respects this afternoon. Most Venerable Veligama Sri Gnana Ratnathera, who was born on the 14th of October 1913 in Veligama Matara, was ordained as a bhikkhu at the Trigodharama Vihara in Thalpe on the 30th of November 1925 and attained high ordinance in 1933. Following the passing of the Most Venerable Madige Panyasi Hatera, he was appointed the chief prelate of the Amarapura Sri Dharma Rakshita Mahanikaya and also held the position of registrar of the Amarapura Mahasangha Council. In recognition of his service to the Sasana, he was conferred the title of Agamaha Pandita by Myanmar. The final rites of the late Agamaha Pandita, Most Venerable Veligama Sri Gnana Ratnathera, will be observed on Wednesday afternoon in Mount Lavinia.
Farmers in the Polonaru district allege that there is a mystery behind the recent opening of all spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra.
However, the Department of Irrigation maintains that the spill gates were opened as the water in the reservoir had reached the maximum capacity.
The Parakrama Samudra, which has a capacity of 109,000 acre-feet, is spread across a vast 2,800 square miles. The Parakrama Samudra receives water from the Akashaganga waterway through an anicut constructed in Angamadilla across the Amban Ganga, one of the main tributaries of the Mahavali River. It also receives water from several other reservoirs. 20,000 acres of farmland are nourished by water from the Parakrama Samudra. If the waters of the Parakrama Samudra, which hold such value, is being wasted on the prerogative of private entities, the harm that would be caused cannot be described in words. People who benefit directly from the Parakrama Samudra and people who do not benefit from the giant reservoir have both been affected by this situation. Officials in charge of the Parakrama Samudra took steps to open all spill gates of the reservoir on the 15th of this month. The spill gates are opened when there are no options left and there is a risk of floods once, maybe twice a year. The spill gates are not open for any other reason. They let it fill up to the level of the palmyra trees here. We do not know for what reason all 10 spill gates were opened at once. They have opened it this time when the water level was low. I am a person who is constantly here. The Zonal Irrigation Director in the Polonaru district says that the spill level of the Parakrama Samudra is 194.2 feet. He claims that the spill gates were opened as a result of the water level reaching spill level and rainfall experienced in areas upriver of the Amban Ganga. Even a silt-filled waterway did not overflow. Although they open the spill gates now, it will affect us in the harvest seasons to come. They have opened the spill gates before the reservoir was full, and the reservoir has not filled up since. We cannot say if it will rain in the near future. This is what the farmers are talking about. Whenever the spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra is opened, an allegation that is leveled is that this measure is taken as a result of flooding at hotels adjacent to the reservoir. Newsfirst made inquiries from the Director General of Irrigation Bhadra Kamaladasa to ascertain the truth of this allegation. She said that views are expressed regarding this matter on numerous occasions and the letters on this issue have been received by the department. She noted, however, that there is no connection whatsoever between the inundation of hotels in the area and the opening of the spill gates of the reservoir.
There is a technical regulation for us to open the spill gates, where we open the spill gates when the water reaches a certain level. This varies from reservoir to reservoir. Spill gates of the Rajangana reservoir are not opened in the same way that spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra are opened. People need to look at the rainfall upriver. If there is a sudden gush of water, then the water will flow over the top and the dam will be harmed. Opening the gates is not an easy decision to make. We consider several parameters and think about it before taking the decision.
Skeletal remains have been found in Arlagan Villa in Polonnaruwa.
These skeletal remains were found in the woods this morning in the Galtalava Mahaveli village in Arlagan Villa. The remains were found following a tip-off the police received on the 119 hotline. The police stated that the remains were burnt by someone on a few sheets of metal. A few skeletal remains have been found today in Galtalava. It seems to be the remains of a child. This has either been done as a sacrificial ritual for treasure or it is some other form of occult ritual. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that they have not ascertained if the remains belong to a human or an animal as yet. However, he also noted that this may have been the scene of a sacrificial ritual conducted by treasure hunters.
Doctors have determined that the death of Indian Junior Minister Shashi Tharoor's wife Sunanda Pushkar Tharoor was, quote, forced and unnatural, unquote.
Now, the mortal remains of Sunanda Pushkar, who was found dead under mysterious circumstances at a luxury hotel in South Delhi, were consigned to flames yesterday with traditional Hindu rites in the presence of her family members in New Delhi.
Police said her body was found on Friday night after her husband returned to their suite in the hotel, days after she was involved in a row with a Pakistani-based woman journalist over Twitter.
Delhi Police spokesman Rajan Bhagat said it was not immediately clear how the wife of Junior Human Resource Development Minister Shashi Tharoor had died. After the post-mortem, Pushkar's body was brought to Tharoor's official residence, from where it was directly taken to the crematorium ground near the residence. Shocked by the sudden death of her dear friend, senior journalist Nalini Singh said Pushkar was upset about her husband's alleged affair with a Pakistani journalist.
Yes, she called me the last night of her life at about 10 past midnight, and she called me and she was very upset. She was distraught, and she obviously she spoke about it, things that made her so upset. Also at the same time she had planned some things, and so at the same time she was very upset also. So I cannot say, such a person who was very intelligent and who was also very, very, very sensitive, and exactly what has happened.
Meanwhile, Tharoor was taken to hospital early yesterday after he complained of chest pain. A doctor said he was stable. His wife Sunanda had been embroiled this week in a spat with the Pakistan-based journalist Mer Tharoor, whom she accused of stalking her husband in a series of Twitter posts. Tharoor denied she was having an affair with the Indian minister and said she would sue Sunanda for defamation. Tharoor, a former UN diplomat whose Twitter handle showed more than 2 million followers and who has been one of the most active users of the microblogging site in the government, made no comment at that time.
It is very tragic what has happened. Knowing both Dr. Shashi Tharoor and Sunanda well, and having enjoyed their hospitality so many times, it is very sad to see how it has ended.
On Thursday, the Indian couple had issued a statement saying that they were distressed by the controversy caused by the unauthorized use of their Twitter accounts. They said they were happily married and intended to stay that way. A leader of India's main opposition, Bharatiya Janata Party, Subramaniam Swamy, questioned the mysterious circumstances of Pushkar's death and asked for a thorough probe into the matter.
See, it's quite clear after the postmortem findings that it was a forced unnatural death, and there are injuries on our body which we cannot disclose just now. So I think when a minister's wife dies in these circumstances, there must be a complete inquiry.
A function to felicitate Hirunika Premachandra, who was recently appointed as the SLFP co-organizer of the Central Colombo electorate, was held in Kulannava today.
The event was organized by residents of Kulannava.
Hirunika is not a person who would stop at provincial councils. We need to remember that in another 2 years she will enter parliament. If I am alive, I will do everything possible to make sure that she wins. I am positive that she will take the forefront at this provincial council election. My son is also contesting this election. I wish to state at this occasion that I will give her more prominence and will take measures to take all of them on one journey.
A group of UNP supporters in Kulannava joined the SLFP at this occasion. I carried out a major fight to get justice for the killing of my father. With my entering politics, many are questioning whether I have abandoned my fight. I would like to state that I recommence my fight on a grand scale. Many will find fault with me in the future about my decision. Many have already started. I will not answer any of them hereafter. My answer stops here. Many try to destroy the friendship that I have with the president. I grew up with that family. I grew up with Namal, Yoshita and Rohita. That family did not have a girl, so I was more or less their adopted daughter. They love me that much, including Madam Shiranthi and President Rajapaksa. Things will be much more difficult in the future. It is people from the same party that I need to be cautious of, rather than those in the opposition.
A public rally organized by the Democratic Party was held in Joyla last evening.
Books were distributed among children from Joyla at this rally, which was held under the auspices of the leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca.
My husband, General Sarath Fonseca, does not even receive a pension. He ended the 30-year-long war. He was the best army commander in the world. This is the state of the law in Sri Lanka, a country considered to be the most fortunate in the world. We do not have justice. I think the wonder of our nation is the cause for all this sadness.
There needs to be ethical politics in this country where we do not exact vengeance. If there is to be development, then we know that our country must become self-sufficient in agriculture. Our country should become active in industry. Agriculture in our country has been destroyed. Our reservoirs and waterways have not been maintained for 10 years. After 2 days of rain, our reservoirs and waterways overflow. If it is dry for 2 weeks, then the reservoirs and waterways run dry. Therefore, farmers cannot cultivate in the Yala and Maha harvest seasons. The farmer too has lost his pension.
For 65 years after independence from the British, this country has been governed by two parties who have taken turns. Other political parties merely held exhibitions. Until May 2009, you made all kinds of sacrifices. You supported this government then. You believed that they would bring happiness to your lives as they promised following the end of terrorism. Unfortunately, my friends, this government has been unable to bring you that happiness. There is a political vacuum in this country. This is a government that gave tax concessions for dog food and cat food and taxed the food that you need.